on, everyone, and welcome to the video. So we recently talked about the Galaxy Z Flip 3. In this video, we're going to talk about its bigger, badder, and quite frankly, much more expensive bigger brother, the Galaxy Z Fold 3. Now, yes, this phone does come with a pretty hefty price tag, but price tag aside, this phone has very quickly become one of my favorites for 2021. Now, we are going to have to see what Apple is going to do with the iPhone 13 and what Google has up their sleeves with the Pixel 6 Pro, but needless to say, this phone is ridiculously awesome. If you watched our review over the Z Flip 3, you'll remember that I mentioned that that phone is targeting folks who want a traditional smartphone experience first, and when you're done, it just so happens to fold up into a more compact form factor to put in your pocket and basically walk away with. The Z Fold 3, on the other hand, is taking things in a little bit of a different direction. This phone aims to give you somewhat of a traditional smartphone experience first, and then it unfolds into a tablet experience, which still blows my mind the more I think about it and the more I use this phone. It has a starting price tag of $1,799, which is wild, and that's for 256 gigs of base storage. It also comes in 3 colors: Phantom Silver, which is what you are seeing on camera right now, Phantom Green, and Phantom Black. Now, I'm not gonna lie, whenever I first went to pre-order both the Flip and the Fold, I thought the Phantom Silver was going to be the best color in the lineup. I got it and I really like it, but the more I think about it, I might swap it out to Phantom Green. I don't know, I had the iPhone 11 Pro Max in Midnight Green and I absolutely love the color of that phone. So if Phantom Green is anywhere close to it, I think we're gonna be in good shape. Internally, the Z Fold 3 comes with a Snapdragon 888 processor and 12 gigs of RAM. So yeah, it is a performance powerhouse and it's rocking all the best silicon from 2021. But this phone goes way beyond what you see on a spec sheet. I'm actually a fan of how Samsung decided to put this whole phone together. The phone itself has this wedge-shaped look to it. It honestly kind of reminds me of some of the old school door stoppers that I would see whenever I was in high school, and that's mainly thanks to the massive hinge that's running through the middle of the phone. But honestly, like I said, I'm a fan of it, and the phone feels really well built and put together, and in the hand it also feels really, really nice. The phone does have both a top firing speaker and a bottom firing speaker, which is going to be really nice whenever you're consuming media. The power button also sits flush in the enclosure, and it has a built-in fingerprint sensor that is fast and accurate, so that's dope. And the phone is also IPX8 water resistant, which, when you consider how many moving parts are in this phone, is honestly just a marvel of technology. On the front of the phone is the cover display. Now, this is a 6.2-inch AMOLED panel, and it is, it is a narrow screen. Now, I thought the screen on the Galaxy Z Flip 3 was narrow, but this is even more narrow than that. From like a width perspective, it kind of reminds me of a chocolate bar. So if you've held like a chocolate bar in your hand, you've held half of the Galaxy Z Fold 3 in your hand.
Life was like a box of chocolates.
But either way, I still found plenty of use case scenario for the display itself. So like in the mornings whenever I'm waking up and I'm checking emails, I'm doing that on the cover display. Or maybe I want to read an article in Google News or catch up on some sports related news in ESPN. Those are all things I'm doing on the cover display. Or if I'm watching a YouTube video that doesn't really require me to pay too much attention to the screen and it's more so just to listen for audio or listening to a podcast, again, those are all things that I'm doing on the cover display of the phone. The cool part about the cover display on the Z Fold 3 is that it's been bumped up to 120 Hertz in terms of its refresh rate, which is nice to see because the cover display on the Fold 2 was 60 Hertz, while the main display was 120. So on the Fold 2, you had a little bit of variance going back and forth between cover and main, but on the Fold 3, both displays sit at 120 Hertz, so still a nice upgrade to see. And in terms of the quality of the display, it's made by Samsung, right? So it's still an incredible panel regardless of how narrow it is. It gets plenty bright, colors are super vivid and punchy, and it's just a really good quality display. You just gotta kind of give yourself some time to get used to the narrow size and figure out which apps are going to be best for you to use on it. Now, when you open the device and the big main display lights up in your face, I mean, that's the moment that the crowd goes wild, right? This is why you spend $1,799 on a device like this. And for me personally, I still get a big smile on my face every time I unfold the phone and the screen lights up. It's wild to think about how much awesome technology goes behind a product like this to make an experience like that possible. So yeah, big, huge, bright, vibrant 7.2-inch AMOLED display with a 120 hertz refresh rate. It is awesome. And it does still come with that specialized screen protector. Now that's obviously crucial to the structural rigidity of the display. Samsung recommends not removing it, so if I were you, I wouldn't remove it if you own this device. But it will also change how the display feels as you run your finger across it, especially whenever you consider just how a traditional smartphone feels in the hand. Now, it's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. It's just different. It may take you some time to get used to it, especially if you're coming from just regular smartphones. One thing I really appreciate, though, is some of the tweaks that Samsung has made to the software in order to take advantage of the big display. One of my favorite features is the ability to pin your applications to the right side of the display, or at least your favorite applications to the right side of the display, kind of like a dock. So you have much quicker access to launch your favorite apps, and it also makes multitasking easier as well. You can actually multitask with up to 3 different applications at one time on the main display, which is nuts for those of you out there who care that much about productivity. It really is awesome. And every now and then you'll bump into applications that don't really play nice with the aspect ratio of the main display. But one cool thing is you can go into Samsung Labs and force applications to work with a particular aspect ratio. So this part of the phone can really change how you use your smartphone on a daily basis. And for me personally, I love mobile gaming on my phone. That's been incredible on the main display. And I also love content consumption, watching YouTube videos, streaming movies and TV shows. And that on a display this big that can then fold up and go back into your pocket is just, that's mind-blowing stuff right there. It is awesome. So I love the display and I love all the features and everything, but there is one thing that I would change if I could, and that's that little pixelated circle that you probably see on the display as well. And that little pixelated area is housing the under-display selfie camera. Now, bear with me. Here's my thoughts on why I would change it. When I think of under-display selfie technology, I'm thinking a camera that is perfectly hidden whenever it's not being used. Like, you literally cannot tell that there is a camera there. On the Fold 3, you can most definitely see some pixelation depending on the content that's on the screen. It honestly kind of looks like a screen door, like a mesh type of door that you can kind of see what's going on through it, but you kind of can't at the same time. It's just really weird to look at sometimes. And depending on like the content that's on screen, you can either see through it directly if it's a black wallpaper, or like I said, you can just see pixelation if it's gray or blue or white or any other type of color. Quite honestly, I would have just preferred Samsung to not try this on this particular phone and just go with the regular hole punch cutout for the selfie camera that we're all used to. I mean, they've been using hole punch cutouts on their flagship phones for the past couple of years now at least, and I wouldn't have had a problem with it at all. It just doesn't really seem like the technology was fully matured yet, and on a phone that costs $1,799, I'd rather you just take the safe bet, throw in the hole punch camera, make it better quality than 4 megapixels under the display, and just kind of leave it as it is. Maybe in a year or two, if the technology matures, then introduce it then when it's totally seamless on a phone that's going to be this expensive. And in terms of overall selfie qualities with this camera, do not do it. You literally have 2 other camera options to use. Don't take selfies with this one. Okay, so you and I are gonna have to have a little bit of an awkward conversation now, because there was one very, very important device that unfortunately was not released this year, and that was a brand new Galaxy Note. And what's awkward about the situation, which, believe me, not releasing a Note, which is a very, very popular and quite honestly incredible smartphone every time they bring out a new one, that's already awkward enough. But then implementing the S Pen as an accessory for the S21 Ultra earlier in the year, and now the Galaxy Z Fold 3 later in the year, makes the whole no new Note situation even more awkward. Now, don't take it the wrong way. I definitely understand the use case scenario for implementing an S Pen on a phone that has a massive 7.2-inch screen, right? I have an S Pen that came with the phone as well, and I loved drawing, coloring with it, handwriting notes and stuff like that. It's all awesome. I totally get it. But you have to kind of ask yourself, is that experience actually going to replace the S Pen experience on the Galaxy Note, or is it going to replace the Note line as a whole? And my answer is most definitely not. And I'm sure we can ask the hardcore dedicated Note users to give us a list of reasons why it won't, and they probably could, and it would be a very good list. But I can just give you one really good example of why it can't, and that's storage of the S Pen after the fact. On the Galaxy Note line, the S Pen is literally integrated into the product experience. That's not the case with the Fold 3 and the S21 Ultra. It's an optional accessory that you have to pay extra money for. And whenever you're done using it, where exactly do you put it? Do you just leave it on the desk after you're done, put it in your pocket alongside the phone, throw it in your backpack? Or I'm not really sure where that particular solution comes from. Now, Samsung does offer a case that can store the S Pen as well for the Galaxy Fold, but it makes a relatively thick phone thicker than it already is. So I don't really count that as a real solution. So believe me whenever I tell you that I definitely don't want Samsung to replace the Galaxy Note line with the S Ultra year over year or the new Fold year over year. This is coming from someone who is a very, very big fan of the Note line as well. I think I've had every single Note since like what, the Note 5? The Note 6 or something? I even stuck with Samsung when the Galaxy Note 7 essentially became a giant internet meme, okay? I love the Galaxy Note line, and I definitely don't want to see Samsung kill it. So hopefully we see a new Note next year and it comes back bigger and better than before. I would love to see that. One sort of complicated part to talk about in any phone review is going to be battery life, right? Because it's so subjective. How you use a phone is going to be different from how I use a phone. So even if we have the same exact device, your battery life and my battery life are going to be different. That's even doubly so on the Z Fold 3 because you have two displays, a 6.2-inch AMOLED display and a 7.6-inch AMOLED display. And depending on the apps and which display you use more often than not, your battery life is going to be very different from my battery life, but I will still cover my battery experience on the device. It was, I'm gonna go with good, not great. Now it does come with a 4,400 milliamp hour battery, which is pretty decent, I guess, given the size of the phone and just how many moving parts we have here. But I was averaging roughly 6.5 to 7.5 hours of screen on time pretty consistently. Now, my usage with the Z Fold 3 included a lot of mobile gaming on the main display and a lot of media consumption, so streaming my favorite movies and TV shows and watching YouTube videos. I mean, in those particular use case scenarios, I was getting like 4 to 5 hours to 6 hours of just streaming time whenever it came to whichever streaming app I was using, and about an hour of screen on time whenever it came to gaming. So my battery life experience was pretty good. But again, yours is gonna vary and it comes down to tons of different factors with this particular phone. And when it comes to the cameras, honestly, I was impressed in this front as well. The Z Fold 3 comes with 3 cameras on the back, all 3 12 megapixels. You have a wide, a telephoto, and an ultra wide. And honestly, in optimal lighting conditions, you're going to be capable of producing some really nice photos that capture a good amount of detail, and Samsung's image processing is the same it's always been. You're going to produce really punchy, vibrant photos that are going to look good framed, may not necessarily be super color accurate, but they're going to be really pleasing to the eye, and they're just going to look good overall. But what I'm more impressed by is the creative uses that can come from cameras on a foldable phone. So for example, earlier whenever I mentioned not taking selfie cameras using the under display camera on the main display, you can still unfold the phone, open the camera app, and enable the cover display to act as a preview screen for you, turn the phone around, and take a selfie of yourself using the rear cameras, which are going to be much better quality than any other camera on the device itself. And when you think about it, that use case scenario also exists for folks who like to use mobile phones whenever it comes to vlogging or blogging. It's just you can be a lot more creative with a phone that is this flexible in terms of taking pictures. And it's just an added bonus that the picture quality that it produces is really good. So camera quality is nice. But like I said in the beginning of the video, I absolutely love the Galaxy Z Fold 3. And this is going to be one of those really, I'm trying to figure out how to best say this. Basically, whether or not the phone is worth the price to you is going to come down to how much you're going to be using the main display, right? Because here's the thing. If you just want a Samsung smartphone that has a big, huge, vibrant display, 120 hertz, Snapdragon 888, tons of RAM, tons of storage, S Pen compatibility, great cameras, you can find all that for hundreds of dollars less in a phone like the Galaxy S21 Ultra. But if you want to buy something like the Fold, it's because you value all that extra real estate that you get from the 7.6-inch main display and some of the multitasking features that come with it. The price tag is just something you're going to have to live with if you want to buy the phone, obviously. But the good thing is that if you want to buy it, Samsung has some pretty ridiculous trade-in values going on right now, and there's always the option to buy the phone in monthly payments. But regardless, it is very, very expensive, and it's ultimately going to come down to how you feel you're going to use this particular device. For me, we're going to have to wait and see what the Pixel 6 Pro brings to the table, but this could be the Android phone in my pocket for a very, very long time because I have had so much fun using this. And the way that I gauge that is normally when I'm using a smartphone, at a certain point in time, I get to a point where I'm like, okay, I have to switch to like my iPad Pro or I have to switch to my MacBook Pro, something that has a bigger display for what I'm doing in that moment. I have done that significantly less using a phone like the Z Fold 3 because there's just tons of use case scenarios with the massive main display on this phone. To give you an example, 2 days ago, I got a notification from my iPad Pro in regards to my screen time, and my screen time on my iPad had dropped 77% in the last week, and that's because of this phone right here. So I've had a great time. If you feel like you can justify that main display, go ahead and give it a shot. I think you'll really enjoy it. Either way, if you enjoyed the review, please make sure you like and subscribe down below. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.